Weird. Do you think this girl looks weird? I like her pink tutu. Weird, written by Anne Harth. Annie sat in the park. She wore a bright red hat. Do you see her red hat? She wore flowers in her hair. Butterflies flitted around her. Do you like butterflies? I do. Annie looks like a nice girl. Practice reading those sentences back to yourself. Look, Mark said to Tracy, there's Annie. She's weird. No, she's not. She looks beautiful. Tracy wished that she had a red hat and flowers too. Do you know somebody who looks different than you? Lots of us look different. Do you have friends who look different than you? Practice reading those sentences back to yourself. At school, Annie sat alone. She ate her lunch and sang happy songs. Tracy listened. Mark walked by. Why is Annie sitting by herself during lunch? How can you be a good friend to someone who sits alone during lunch? Please practice reading those sentences back to yourself now. Now, do you think Annie's weird? He whispered to Tracy. No, Tracy said. She made those songs up herself. Tracy loved to sing, but she only sang when she was alone. Is there something you like to do, like singing? Do you share your singing talent with others? Please read those sentences back to yourself now. Annie waited at the bus stop. She twirled in circles. She hopped. She skipped. She danced. Mark and Tracy waited for the bus too. I love dancing. I don't think Annie is weird. Please read those sentences back to yourself now. Now you have to think Annie's weird, Mark said. She's dancing all by herself. There's nothing wrong with that, Tracy said. She's having fun. She felt like dancing too. Dancing is so much fun. Do you like to dance? Do you dance with your friends? Read those sentences back to yourself, please. The bus came. Annie jumped on. She sat in the back seat, and Mark sat in front. Tracy got on last. She walked to the back of the bus. Why did she walk to the back of the bus? Please read those sentences back to yourself. Hi, Annie, Tracy said. Can I sit with you? Annie scooted over. Tracy and Annie talked and laughed all the way home. I think they're friends now. What do you think? Please read those sentences back to yourself. Do you want to go to the park tomorrow? Tracy asked. Yes, said Annie, But don't forget your umbrella. Do you remember your umbrella? Sometimes I forget mine. Practice reading those sentences back to yourself. Tracy looked at the clear sky. Is it going to rain? Annie looked up too. No, it's going to be sunny, she said. I love sunny days. Please read those sentences back to yourself. Annie was right. The next day was sunny, but Tracy took her yellow umbrella anyway. When she got to the park, she was very hot. Annie was already there. That looks like fun. Please read those sentences back to yourself. I'm hot, Tracy said. Me too, said Annie as she put on her umbrella. She held it over her head. But it's cool under here, Tracy laughed. She put up her umbrella. I'm in the shade too. Do you wear sunscreen when you're outside in the sun? It's important. Please read those sentences back to yourself. Mark walked past. Umbrellas? Now both of you are weird. No, we're not, Tracy said as she looked at Mark. His face was red. He looked hot. We're both in the shade, Tracy said. Want to come over? Do you invite your friends over when you're at school or when you're at home? Practice reading those sentences back to yourself. Mark wiped his face. Okay, he said. He sat between Tracy and Annie. They all sat in the shade under the umbrellas. That looks like a really nice day. Read those sentences back to yourself for practice. Thanks. Now I feel cool, said Mark. He looked at Tracy and Annie. Maybe you're not that weird after all, he said with a smile. And now all three of them are sitting together. Annie isn't so weird after all. Practice reading those sentences back to yourself. These are comprehension questions to the story Weird. These are important questions. Try your best to answer them. Number 1, where does Tracy first talk to Annie? Number 2, what does Mark see Annie do? Number 3, why does Annie bring an umbrella to the park? Number 4, what do you think will happen next? Thank you so much for reading along with me. This story is called Weird. Please make sure that you continue to practice your reading skills. Great job. Have a great day.